mapping a crash report and building a bridge where there was no port.
Okay, imagine this. You're sitting in on a secret online class, but the subject isn't marketing or, coding, it's cybercrime. Today, we're going to crack open a real cybercriminal's playbook. We've got our hands on a leaked lecture, and we're going to deconstruct step by step how these guys steal your online shopping accounts. So yeah, let's dive right in and see exactly how it's done. And those are the actual words of the lecturer. He goes by the name Soul. He's about to teach a masterclass in account theft, and he wants to make sure his, let's call it, underground classroom can follow along easily. See, it's methodical, it's structured, it's not chaos. And honestly, that's exactly what makes this whole thing so dangerous. So what's the core technique here? It's called a brute force attack. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a thief with just a massive ring of keys. They're just trying every single one on a lock until, click, one finally opens. Except in this case, the keys are these huge lists of stolen email and password combinations. And the whole thing is automated by software running at, lightning speed. It's not a person trying them one by one. All right, so to really get inside their heads, we're just going to follow the syllabus of his lecture, step by step. We'll start in the underground classroom, then check out their criminal shopping list. After that, we'll see the attack in action, how they cash out, and finally, we'll talk about the real-world impact of all this. Okay, section 1, the underground classroom. And right away, what's so striking is that this isn't some chaotic, random hacking. No, this is taught like a business. It's a repeatable process with one very clear goal, making money. So what's the grand prize here? What are they really after? Well, it's not just any account. The lecturer, Soul, he makes this crystal clear. The absolute prime targets are those online shopping accounts where you've already saved your payment info. A credit card on file or maybe a store balance just sitting there. And why? Simple. That's where the money is. And getting to it is, well, it's surprisingly easy once they're inside. All right, section 2, a criminal's shopping list. Every job needs its tools, and cybercrime is absolutely no different. Soul lays out a very specific shopping list of 5 essential things you need to pull off one of these attacks. So here's the list. You need a target shop, some special software, a database of stolen logins, proxies to stay hidden, and a powerful server to run the whole show. Now let's quickly break down what each of these pieces actually is. Okay, so the shop, that's pretty obvious, it's the target. The software, something called Private Keeper, for example, that's the engine that does all the dirty work, trying thousands of logins a minute. Then you've got the database. Think of this as the fuel for the engine. It's just massive lists of email and password pairs that have been stolen from other data breaches. The proxies, they're like digital disguises, right? They make the attack look like it's coming from all over the world, hiding the attacker's real location. And finally, the server is basically just a powerful computer they rent to keep the attack running 24/7. Okay, now get this, because this part is really counterintuitive. When it comes to that database of stolen passwords, you'd think they'd want one where the password works for the actual email account, right? Nope, wrong. Soul actually says he prefers an invalid one, where the password doesn't work for the email. And the reason is actually pretty clever. See, they don't need to get into your email. Their whole plan is to just flood your inbox with spam later, so that the real order confirmation emails from the shop they just hacked get buried. It's a total smokescreen. All right, section 3, executing the attack. So the toolkit is all set up. Now it is time for the main event. This is where all that prep work turns into an actual attack. So during the lecture, one of the students, a user named Eldon, asks a really great question. It's probably what you're thinking too. Hey, don't websites have pretty good protection against this stuff now? Is this even worth it anymore? And yeah, it seems like a huge roadblock, right? And Soul's answer, well, it reveals the entire strategy. It's simple. Why bother trying to break into a fortress when you can just pick the lock on my garden shed? They don't go after the giants. They're not targeting Amazon. No, the real targets are the thousands and thousands of small and medium-sized online stores, the ones built on platforms like Shopify or Magento, where the security is often way more basic and a lot easier to crack. And remember that smokescreen tactic we talked about? This is where it comes in. It's a key part of the attack. They call it flooding the KH, which stands for cardholder. As soon as they get into an account and place an order, they use spamming services to just blast the victim's email inbox with thousands of junk messages. All that noise buries the real order confirmation, the real shipping notices, and that buys the criminal precious time before the actual account owner even knows something's wrong. Okay, Section 4, cashing out the heist. So they're in. They've got control of someone's account. Now comes the part that this is all about for them. Cashing out. How do they actually turn that access into real money or stuff? Well, according to Sol, there are basically two main ways to do it. The first, and this is the gold standard, is to find accounts that have store balances or gift cards. Why? Because the success rate is almost 90%, and they know exactly how much money is there. The downside, they're just really hard to find. The other option is accounts with linked credit cards. These are everywhere, but they come with a much higher risk of setting off the store's fraud alarms. So when they go after an account with a linked card, they have to be super careful. Here's the playbook. First, they use a proxy so it looks like they're logging in from the same city or state as the victim. Then they warm up the account. They browse the site for a bit, add stuff to the cart, just trying to look like a normal shopper. Then they try to add their own shipping address, they call it a drop, and place the order. Now, if the site asks for that 3-digit CVV code on the back of the card, which they don't have, they have to pivot. They'll try a reroute scheme. They place the order to the victim's real address, and then they try to call the shipping company to get the package redirected while it's on its way. So, last section here, let's zoom out and look at the real-world impact. Why does this kind of low-tech method, why is it still such a persistent threat? Well, for one thing, the cost to get started is just shockingly low. Sol estimates that for about $300 to $600, anyone can buy all the software, all the proxies, and the server time they need to get into this business. It's literally crime on a budget. And the return on that tiny investment, it can be huge. Sol explains that a single good day of running the software can find enough compromised accounts to keep a criminal busy for weeks, maybe even months. It's just an incredibly efficient system for them. So when you put this all together, you see that the victims aren't just the people whose accounts get stolen. The businesses that take the financial hit from all this, from chargebacks, from stolen products, are those small and medium-sized shops, the ones that form the backbone of e-commerce. They often can't afford the same level of security as the big guys, and that makes them the perfect target. This whole criminal playbook is built on one simple bet, that our online accounts are basically little treasure chests, and that the password we use in one place, well, we probably use it in a bunch of other places too. A key stolen from one lock just might open a dozen more. And that really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? Your online shopping account is a treasure chest. Who holds the key?
I ride it, I wire it, I ship it when it's tight. Stitching broken systems through the middle of the night. Let the bill fall down, let the pipeline scream. I'll drag it back to stable, brick by scheme. From chaos into order, from bugging to release. From it won't even start to something that brings peace. No spotlight on the hands that keep it all alive. But I'm the pulse behind the screen, and that's how things survive. No, that's how things survive. And that's how things survive. Sunrise loads, quad victory in the code. No parade, no final word, just system steady as promised is heard.